Join me on Whistle Talk as I talk to professionals on the field and in the booth to help you understand what is going on inside a mind of a football official. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to another episode of Whistle Talk. Mike D, the referee, joining you today from a gorgeous, gorgeous New Jersey day. I'm sorry that I'm inside at the moment, but some things are worth it. It is absolutely gorgeous out. Finally got a spring day, and it is April Fool's Day, but they're not fooling us with this weather. But it's supposed to turn the next couple of days. But for those of you that joined us last night, we had Mike Kelly on last night, and from the Continental Football League. And tonight we're doing something totally new for this show. We've talked to a number of different officials that are multi-sport officials from across many different platforms. But today, lucky enough to have with us Brennan Miller from the MLB. We've got an umpire with us, a full-fledged umpire where, I'm an umpire in football, but that's completely different. Brennan, how you doing today, sir?
I am great. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, got my son's catcher's glove. I got my baseball here.
That's
Actually,
great.
Later on after the episode, my son's opens up finally. Their middle school opening day is today. He's on the bump, so
That's awesome. That'll be fun.
Yeah, looking forward to that. But unfortunately, because of that, I'm missing my daughter's home opener for lacrosse too. So my wife and I will be streaming. I'll be using Game Changer.
Oh yeah,
and,
that's the
we'll
big
be
way
watching
to.
our phones along with watching the games.
Absolutely.
So before we dive into the show, I got to do my podcast spiel. For those of you out there that are listening, that are enjoying the show, hit those like buttons, hit those subscribe buttons, give us a thumbs up, a thumbs down, a middle finger. I've all heard it all before, seen it before. Got thick skin, so I know what's going on. But share it out. And if you're a football official who's also a baseball umpire, this is an excellent episode to share out to all the other baseball umpires out there. Once again, we've talked with a number of people that work both. But this is the first time I've had an exclusive other sport official in some capacity on the show. So looking forward to that. And you can check it out on that YouTube channel, Mike D, the referee, or Whistle Talk. Find those things on YouTube. So now that we've paid the bills, even though it's a free show. Brennan, coming to us from here in New York City today, working some replay for the MLB.
Yep, and as you can tell probably from behind me, I'm in my hotel room. That's all I got here. So I don't have the background like you, but I do my best.
Well, yeah, I've tried, and you could see sun is glaring off my mug in the background. It's been few and far between here in New Jersey, so I'm taking it when I can. But so Brennan, again, this is predominantly a football officiating show,
Sure.
but we've all gone through different grinds, and I've talked to a number of people of getting from the lower levels up to the highest levels. So talk us about your journey as a baseball umpire. How did you get started with it?
So I played baseball all the way through college, but when I was younger, I was, I think 10 or 11, and my dad and my mom were like, "Hey, why don't you try umpiring?" And it was free at the time, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll try it." And so I did like a 6U, like double A type game, and I loved it. It was so much fun. Like it was just really, really cool. And then kind of just worked my way up, and then I ended up doing 12U for the majors is what they called it, and
Mhm.
then got into travel ball, and then just kind of kept going up the line, I guess, until major leagues.
There you go. So, and baseball is one of those unique sports where the officials can be younger kids. I know with football, I know with the flag games and the local, like the rec type of football stuff, they're looking more for some certified officials. I know my son was involved in AYF, which is the American Youth Football in this area, and they
Hmm.
were using state certified officials. But I know with the umpires, you could take umpire courses and different things like that, and you can get right into it. maybe not working a high school game or a state sanctioned type game, but working your local little league and different things like that,
Yeah.
it's fantastic, and you get paid for that too in the little league.
Yeah. Well, so I believe in most little leagues you get paid now. At the
Yeah.
time, I was not getting paid. It was just for free. And then once I turned 13, I reached out to the high school signer who I still keep in contact with to this day. And there was a hard rule that you couldn't be below the age of 16 and work
Okay.
games. And I was 13, and he bent the rules for me and said, "Okay, like I'm going to put you out there on these, but the rule is you can't umpire above your age."
Okay.
So I was like, "Okay, I mean that's fair." So but I would be umpiring my friends. So I
Yeah.
would play a game on Thursday, and then on Friday I would umpire my buddy's game and call him out. Um, so it was always a baseball life as well, like almost the entire week, all season, and then I was into basketball, and then I did play football in high school. So it's kind of bounced all over the place as far as sports that I've played. But when it comes to officiating, it was baseball, basketball, and volleyball, actually.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, volleyball's a great one to get into. You're indoors.
exactly. Yep.
With all these weather games and stuff like that I'm sure you've had to deal with, being in a contained climate does help
Yeah.
sometimes.
Well, and in volleyball, they don't yell as much. Or if they do, it's quick. It's a
Yeah.
quick, hey, that's a double or that's a lift. And you just go, no, it's not. And it's done. It's over with.
Yep.
Not like football, not like baseball.
Yeah, it's nice with volleyball. Coach, go sit down, and they're like, oh, they're like the
Yep,
pet. They got to put in their doghouse. Like, oh, come on.
exactly.
But
Exactly
yeah,
right.
it's definitely a different world in that aspect. Where I know we're gonna kind of touch on some different things with the emotion that goes involved in umpiring and in baseball and stuff like that. Um, we'll kind of build up to that, but volleyball is a little bit of a more low key type of sport.
Hmm.
Um, so tell me, when did you say, all right, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go.
Probably when I was 19 or 20. And I always wanted to be a police officer. That was always my goal from very, very young age. And so I was in a police cadet program after
Hmm.
high school, and I was going into the academy in 2013. That was going to be in April of 2013. And I had about a year gap of where I wasn't going to be employed by them because of like age and all that stuff. And so it was, okay, what do I do for money for this year? And so I called my high school assigner and I was like, hey, let me work games. So I worked maybe 10 games a week,
Oh
and
wow.
I was just doing games and games and just to make money. And so many people were saying, hey, you should go to umpire school. You should go to umpire school. I was like, I don't even know what umpire school is, but okay. I mean, and so umpire school was in January of 2013. So my thought was, this would be really cool if I got in, but if I don't, it's okay. I'll just go to the police academy. And I go to umpire school in January of that year, and I get into the minor leagues and never looked back. So that's kind of when I thought it was a serious path. Was just that 1 year where I needed to make extra money, and I just worked a ton of games.
So you went right from the academy, the umpire academy, right into the minor league game.
Yeah. I went to umpire school in January, and then I worked my first minor league game in April of that year.
So now talk us through the minor league system, or and I'm familiar with baseball in
Hmm.
itself, but you have rookie ball, you have A ball, double A, triple A, different things like that building up to the MLBs. Is it the same kind of path that umpires have to go through of working your way up the different levels?
Yeah, it's the same path. It's a lot slower than what a player's path is.
Okay.
For umpires, you got to hit every step along the way. And a lot of people think it's just A ball, double A, triple A, pro. That is not the case.
Hmm.
There are multiple levels of A. There's double A where they don't want you to spend just 1 year. Typically, you spend 2 years. And then triple A is where you spend the most amount of time. And so it's a longer process. So I was actually pretty fortunate to work major league games somewhat fast. it was in my 6th year in the minors that I worked my first major league game.
Okay.
And then I was hired full time after 10 years in the minor leagues. So it's a little bit of a longer process. It's changed now. They're trying to push umpires through a little bit faster, which is good. But it's also very crucial to get that time at the lower level so you can face everything you could possibly face with calls, rules, arguments, all that.
So I got to deviate a little bit. What's the
Sure.
hardest pitch to catch? What's the
Hardest.
hardest pitch to catch balls and strikes with? Is it the knuckleball? Is it the sweeper?
I wouldn't say it's a pitch. I would say for me, because everybody processes plays, pitches differently. But for me, it's with a lefty pitcher where he throws from the side as opposed to over the top.
Okay.
When he throws from the side and it is coming all right around that outside corner because the catcher is visibly catching it off the plate, but you have to train yourself with this guy. You have to call it because it's catching some part of that strike zone.
Yep.
So for me, I think that's my biggest one. It's not, a pitch.
Gotcha. Yeah. So a guy like Randy Johnson, I know I feel for you guys back there when he was on the mound. 6'10" lefty, basically placing the ball in your lap at 100 miles an hour with
Correct.
a slider that's dropping off the table.
Correct. Well, actually, now that you bring that up, now can I deviate
Yeah,
somewhat here?
absolutely.
Okay. So there was a rule. I was in the Southern League at the time. There was a rule that we had just gotten a email about it because there was apparently a thing going on that anyone not in uniform cannot be in the bullpen because I guess some other people were there, something like that. So I get this email, and within about a week or so, I'm in Mobile, Alabama, and there is a guy in the bullpen wearing khakis and a polo, sitting on the bench. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna handle this. So I walk down, and as I'm getting closer to the bullpen, I'm like, this guy's huge. And I walk up, and it's Randy Johnson. He's sitting there in the bullpen. And the reason why he was there was because the manager was Robbie Hammock, who was his catcher when he threw a perfect game. So I guess they've been friends ever since.
Yep.
And so I walk up and I see it's him, and I just go, nope, I'm good. And I'm like, I am not gonna tell him to leave.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Johnson. It's nice to meet you, but get out.
Yeah, no shot.
Yeah, that's good stuff. But yeah, so I could definitely. I actually had the pleasure of watching him warm up when in his younger years up in Boston. The old bullpen they used to throw basically towards the crowd in the bleachers up in Fenway,
Okay.
and standing behind the catcher watching him warm up. I'm like, I'm going
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, he was fun to watch, and he was more fun when he was on the Yankees too. So
Yeah.
love that one. So you're working your way up to different levels.
Yeah.
How long? You said you were in the minor leagues for 6 years.
It was in my 6th year in the minors that I worked my first major league game, but I
10 years
officially
total.
got hired after, I believe it was 9 years actually. So
Okay.
yeah, it was 9. So I got hired after my 9th minor league season.
So tell me some of the stories with minor league baseball. I mean, I know I hear all the stories with the teams and stuff like that, the bus rides and different things like that. How is
Yeah.
it for umpires at the lower levels as opposed to being an umpire in the major leagues?
Well, so I think the biggest thing is the travel. I think that's one of the biggest changes. Now it's changed somewhat now. Now minor league umpires are flying a lot more, but at the time we had to drive everywhere. It did
Mhm.
not matter how far, and so we would pack up our minivan and just drive through the night. And there was so many times where you would pull into the next city as the sun is coming up,
Oof.
and so we would take turns as we drove. Obviously, throughout the night, you stop at whatever is open at the time, and you're like, okay, well, if I'm stopping at this restaurant, I want to eat something healthy. Maybe I'll just get a McChicken because it has chicken.
Yeah, it's got protein.
Yeah, and so I guess that's kind of like the biggest change is, and now we're flying a lot better, and you're getting a meal on the plane, that kind of thing. But like there was this one time we were traveling, over like a 8 hour drive somewhere, and we pull into a gas station and we walk in, we get food, we come back out, we pull out of the gas station to keep driving, and we get pulled over. And the police officer pulls us over. He comes up to the window and he goes, "Guys, I'm just going to be honest with you." He goes, "It's very odd that you have so much luggage in the back seat for three young men in a minivan." And we're like, "Totally get it."
Yep.
And so we explained what we did and everything, and he was like, "Okay, carry on," type thing. Because it's just such an odd thing, because a majority of minor league umpires are in their 20s, and so we're all driving a minivan together. It's just, it's weird,
Yeah,
but
the soccer mom mobile for three
yeah,
20-year-olds is definitely
exactly.
definitely a
Yeah,
little interesting.
yeah, but you learn to make it home, and you find ways, and you maybe like we would travel with like a crock pot or something like that to help with meals, that just little things like that as far as travel.
That's good stuff. Yeah, right now I'm lucky. I'm local. I got an hour ride maybe here and there for me.
Yeah.
So I know talking about the different levels and everything like that. For
Mm,
for us with football, it's the speed of the game. It's just
yeah.
the players are just getting bigger, faster, stronger. But it's just to me, football is football. But just now it's happening at a much more rapid pace when we're working up levels. Um, how is that now with baseball? Because I know there's some guys in the minor leagues that are throwing 104 miles an hour, but
Yeah.
overall, does the game kind of slow down for you as you're moving up because it's played at such a higher level, or is it speeding up? How does that work?
Yeah, I get asked this a lot actually by minor league umpires. They want to pick my brain as to know when did I know I was ready for that next level. And the answer for me was that when I felt that I was in complete control of the field at that level. Once I had that, typically I was promoted to the next one. And then as soon as I got sent to the next level, I felt like a fresh kid again. And I'm like, I was nervous and I didn't know what I was doing, where I was going. And then, just over the course of games and stuff like that, you work your way up, because it was around 140 games for a minor league season. So, I
Okay.
mean, you had a lot of time to, um, get yourself comfortable.
Mhm.
And so I think that for me was when I knew I was ready for the next step. So like even when I walked onto the major league field, I thought I was ready to go, and but then I walk on there, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is Yankee Stadium. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's a completely different animal at each level that you go up.
Yeah, and I could just imagine how like the atmospheres around it are definitely going to change, and it becomes a little bit more intimidating when you have guys that are getting paid a couple $1,000 as opposed to guys that are getting paid a couple $100,000 per at bat. So, yeah, definitely, I could definitely see the pressure mounting for you in that aspect, um, which kind of goes into the next set of questions. You've made mistakes. You've had
Yeah.
missed calls. You've made in hindsight now, you've made bad calls in your career.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And I'm not doing that to pick on you because I've made bad calls and missed calls and all that stuff. And if there's
Everybody has. Yeah.
yeah, if there's an official out there of some capacity that says they haven't, they're lying.
Yeah.
Um, how do you in the baseball game, if like there's times where I've thrown a flag and then the next play I'm like, damn, I shouldn't have thrown that one. And but
Yeah.
it's over. We've moved on from it. How are you reflecting on the pressure, possibly a bad game that you've had, different things like that? So how are you reflecting and what are you doing to get better for the next game or even the next pitch?
I think something that'll always separate umpires is how they handle failure, or referees. I mean, that's just I think that's one of the biggest things. And I would struggle with that in my first couple of years in major leagues, because in the minor leagues I was never 100% sure whether I was right or wrong, because even if we had videos, kind of grainy and you can't really tell. And then I'm biased. I'm like, well, I think he's out. Um, but now, I'm getting overturned on a pitch, with this new challenge system, or with just calls on the bases and stuff like that. But to be completely honest, my first couple of years, I struggled with failure, and by failure, I mean just getting the call wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Typically, when I get overturned on the field, on like a safe out, I usually know pretty quick. Like
Okay.
as soon as I make the call, I always go, and I usually know it. And it's more of it's not an embarrassment, it's not an anger, it's a disappointment in myself that I took that angle, or
Yeah.
maybe I didn't take that extra step that I thought I should have in the moment. um, and so I struggle with that, especially when you see it on social media afterwards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Especially in your first couple of years, you really like you want everyone to be like, oh, Brendan, he's the best umpire we got. And you come to find out that no one's going to type your name in social media for a positive, as a sports official. So I quickly learned, don't look up your name, don't do any of that. Just do the best you can. And so now that I've gotten more experience and I've gotten a little bit older, and I've learned that failure is going to happen, and it's about how you adjust to the next pitch. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's really come into play with the challenge system that we have this year, because it's frankly going to be a part of the game. Would I love to be 100% perfect on this? Yes, absolutely. But it's not going to happen. I
Yeah.
mean, I will try my best every game, but I'm going to be overturned to some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we make those adjustments so those are few and far between? Um, and so for me, it's just making simple adjustments throughout the game, whether it's with the way I breathe, or um, the way that I can regather myself after an overturned call. And I think that process will change for each person, whether it's on the football field or the baseball field. I think everyone has their own way of dealing with it. And once you find that sweet spot, I feel like that is going to be the most healthy way to deal with it, basically.
Yeah. I mean, one thing we always talk about as a crew is that when the game starts, we're putting our egos aside, and at the high school level, we don't have replay overturning one of our calls, but we always talk about as our crew, if you saw something, let me know. If I'm wrong, I got no problems being wrong. Let me know, because we want to get the
Yeah.
game right. But there's still times I've worked games where I found out before kickoff that one of my grade school friends passed away, and was my mind completely on the game? No. I've refereed games where I'm sick, and is your mind a little bit weary in those scenarios? Yeah, and that's called life. And I
Yeah.
know as a player, I played the game sick. I played the game in high school. My girlfriend broke up with me before the game. Like,
Yeah.
we're not always 100% with it, with everything that we do in life, but yet when we've got the stripes on, or we're wearing blue, we're expected to be 100%. Where if you're wearing the pinstripes as the Yankees, you go 3 for 10, you make 7 failures, you're going to the Hall of Fame, baby.
Yeah.
No.
Right. And I mean, I think that is actually very true. There was 2 years ago, I had my worst game of the year behind the plate. I mean, I was not good. I had three, I believe, ejections in that game. And I knew it the entire game. I was just trying to get the heck out of there. But what no one else knew was that I had just flown back that morning from seeing my friend in hospice, and I knew he was going to pass.
Yeah.
And so that's a very real thing. And so it could be anything in the world. I mean, it could just like all those examples that you just said, it could be any one of those plus plenty more, and they can and will affect you on the field. I thought for sure that I'd be fine on the field, like, oh, I can separate this,
Yeah.
but I couldn't. And so I had to learn how to separate those things. So if something's going on at home, I need to be able to lock in on my job here for three hours, and then I can come back to it.
Yeah, and a lot of times I've always talked about that when I get out on the field, that is my safe space. That's where I'm able to escape the other things that are going on in life. And
Yeah.
I'd love for that again to be 100% true. It's not, because there's
Yeah.
sometimes that things do carry over. And I mean, I'm a school teacher, I'm an educator. I've had bad days at school, and then I've had to go officiate a freshman or a JV game, which in the grand scheme of things is not the most important thing, but to those kids at that time it is, and I got to
Yep.
remind myself of that, because it's like my mind might be on, maybe I got disciplined by my administrator, or something didn't work out with an observation that I had. I can't let that carry over, because I don't want
Right.
to cheat them, but sometimes it happens, and it's not done purposely, but it's again, it's the human element that we're all dealing with, everybody's dealing with. And we got to understand, life sometimes gets in the way, as much as
Yeah.
we try to avoid it.
Yeah. Well, and you have to do what's fair to the players.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer in that. I see a ton of travel tournament umpires. They'll work 8 games a day, and God bless you. I mean, that is amazing. You got to be exhausted. But I did that one time, and I promised myself I would never do it again, because I worked 8 plates in one day, and I think by plate 3, 4, I could feel myself just like, I don't care, strike, ball, whatever. And I'm like, I can't. Even though I made good money on that day, I promised myself I would never do that again. Just
Yeah.
because it's not fair, because I know I'm not my best self. So I don't want to be out there for the kids doing that, you know?
Yeah, I always said before I got into officiating with my coaching career, I dealt with some coaches that were there for the paycheck, and
Yeah.
the amount of time, hours, and sweat that we put into it, you're not there for the paycheck. If you're doing that, get out. Like,
Right.
and I find
Yeah.
it's the same thing with officiating. If I'm officiating for the paycheck, I'm in trouble. Like, I want to
Yep.
do what's right for the kids, and do all the things. I want to grow the sports and let them have great memories of the plays that they made on the field, not the flags I threw on them, or the fight they had with the referee. It's I want to be there for the game, not just myself.
Right. And I think that actually bleeds very, very well into the fact that it's something I wish every fan knew about sports officials, that you're doing it for the fairness of the game. You're
Yeah.
doing it for the kids. You're trying to make the best call you can. You're trying to be fair. And they may not see it that way, but that's the way it happens. Like, you go to any game, there could be one call and you get both sides screaming at the official. It's like, how does that work? Like, I don't understand. And so I wish more people understood how much officials care
Hmm.
and why they're out there. And like you said, if you're out there strictly for the paycheck, then maybe find something else to
Yeah.
to do. And if you're out there for both, then that's great, because I mean, obviously we want to get paid while doing
Yeah.
it,
Absolutely.
but you love the game. You're there to help grow it, and I think that's an important thing for fans to know.
Yeah, I mean, if I could make officiating my full-time job and make what I'm making as a teacher right now, would I sign up for that? Absolutely, I would take that. And
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I would still look to grow the game and do all those different things.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely different. Um, Major league level, you've got 50, 60,000 fans in a stadium for a big game, and you miss a call, and you go after the game. It's all over social media. It's all over Twitter. It's in the next day's newspaper. It's on Sports Center. How are you
Yeah.
guys dealing with all that outside noise? Like, what are some tips that you do to try to train yourself to deal with that outside noise? Because like you said, if your name's coming up on Twitter, it's probably not for the great job you did that night.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's something you just kind of become numb to. Um, and so, like, I'll be at games, and, someone will ask me, "Oh, did you hear that fan yelling all these things at you?" I'm like, "No, I didn't," because it's just a part of the game at this point.
Hmm.
Um, when it comes to like social media and that kind of thing, it's really unfortunate that it's just something you become numb to. And so, with the way that Instagram works, or Twitter or X or whatever, like, if you watch a video on umpiring, right, it's going to know that you like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, I'll just keep scrolling. I try to keep it rolling so that it doesn't know that I'm interested in this umpiring thing. Um, I truly wish I had a better answer for you, but it's one of those things that where I got a really good taste of that my first year in the major leagues. I'm flying on a plane to the next city and my face is on Sports Center and all this stuff, and I'm just like, okay. And then I look over across the aisle and the guys on the, the sports page, and there's my face. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, and I was 26 at the time. And so like I'm really trying to adjust to this whole thing. Like I felt very alone is a good word for it. And so it's one of those things where you get better with it over time, but it never goes away fully. Because you really like we had just talked about, like I wish people know that we're all trying our best. And of course they're going to be upset if I miss a call. Totally get it, because they're
Yeah.
cheering for a team. That makes sense. But it's the personal attacks that can sometimes get to you a little
Yeah.
bit. If a manager comes out to argue and they're arguing a play and how bad you are, that's fine. I hear it all the time. But when you get a manager that starts to attack you personally, that's where it's like, whoa, what
Yeah.
what are we doing here? And and then so I quickly learned to put all my stuff on private, because I got a lot of stuff, a lot of hate stuff. And I'm like, okay, I need to put all this stuff on private, because
Yeah.
I did not at the time. And so it's something that you do get a um, swift kick in the butt for it,
Yeah.
pretty quick.
Yeah, and there's people out there that are looking just to troll and looking just to get a
Yeah,
rise on you, and
yeah.
it's it's tough. It's tough. I'm lucky that I don't have to deal with that at the high school level personally as
Hmm.
much. I mean, there's definitely stuff that are out there, and there's definitely, I mean, we've had some big games, and I've seen my picture out there, and I'm like, oh, there I am.
Yeah.
Okay, I was making a good call at that play, but that's about it. So I'm knock
Yeah.
on wood. I'm gonna hope to continues that way. Um, in-game communication,
Mhm.
how is your communication, first of all? Are you guys mic'd to each other for the four umpires that are in a major league game, or are you able to communicate with each other from behind the plate, say, as opposed to being down the baseline or things like that?
Yeah, so we're all wearing mics, and we're all wearing a belt pack. It is identical to what the NFL refs wear. So I'm not sure if that's what you guys wear
Hmm.
as well, but it's the Riedel belt pack,
Okay.
and we can communicate to each other on the field, although we rarely do, because then that would require us to put in the earpiece and that kind of thing. The other thing to keep in mind is every time we talk on that, it is everything that is being said is being heard in the MLB headquarters through the replay center. It's being heard through our ABS tech for our strike zone, and it's being heard by our clock operator.
Okay.
So you don't have any, personal communication over it,
Yeah.
but you do have to communicate, about the clock and replay and that kind of stuff. There's been very few times that I've used it to communicate to an umpire across the field, but it does happen on occasion.
Okay. Now, dealing with managers, dealing
Yeah.
with players, how is the communication between you guys? I mean, uh, there's so much stuff out there of umpires and managers talking with each other, I'll say,
Yeah.
but that's what gets shown out. But there's got to be some
Yeah.
communication that's going on, possibly even pitch to pitch.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there is communication back and
Hmm.
forth, but I think people will see a argument or what looks like a heated thing, and sometimes it very much is. But from my experience in this, every manager, coach, player is there to do a job. Same with me.
Yeah.
And so we hear it all the time that the next game is a new day, and that has been my experience with all that. So what I mean, I will get into it with someone, and the next day it's fine, and because it's a part of the job, and I actually respect what they are doing as well, because I always try to understand, why are they yelling at me? Are they yelling at me because I'm terrible at my job tonight, or they think I'm terrible at my job tonight? Are they yelling at me because their team has lost 5 straight? Are they yelling at me because their big hitter just struck out with a big, like you're trying to like find all this out. And at the same time, when they're coming out to argue, you just have to understand that it's not always about you.
Hmm.
So while it may sound like it and look like it, there's usually more behind the scenes. But I also know there's this respect that umpires have with the managers, players. So it's, I mean, at least for me, it's never personal, and I truly enjoy everybody that I work with. Although it may not seem that way sometimes, I actually like every single person that I encounter on the field. So
Yeah, and I mean, like you mentioned, they're all there for to do their job. The difference between them and us, especially at your level,
mhm.
it's they have to win, and if not, that's where for us we're not looking to win. We're looking to call the right game. So you can call that a win in some aspects. That we're winning when we call a great game, because we know we can go home and be like, all right, we did our job tonight. But the wins and losses, that's where it starts to mount added pressure on the coaches, on the players. That can sometimes be an indicator of why they might be coming after you because they're feeling the pressure from the front office and different things like that. So,
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing that a lot of officials, umpires don't really think about is you gotta put yourself in the other person's shoes. Think how much pressure they're under to win, just strictly to win. So they can't really take it out on maybe their players sometimes because their players their gold star, right? So
yep.
who can they take it out on? Well, hi, me. So I think you have to understand where they are coming from as well. Now, sometimes it does cross the line for sure. But at the end of the day, I always try to put myself in their shoes, and I always understand. I may not like it, but I do understand it.
Hmm. So, changing a little subject now and going to what you're doing right now. You're in New York and you're going to be working the replay system and helping out with replay.
Yeah.
Um, how how have you seen replay change the game? And I know now with the ABS, with the balls and strike system that they now have in play, um, how has the overall scope of the replay system affected you guys in calling your game and just on the game itself?
So replay was put in originally just to kind of fix, the obvious miss,
Hmm.
right? And now with all these HD cameras and this and that, they can sync up two cameras side by side and they play from different angles, same time. So what you're seeing now is you're seeing calls being overturned that you would never think would be overturned in a million years. A player slides into the base safe by 2 feet, but yet his heel comes off the bag by this much
Yeah.
and it gets overturned, right? The umpire on the field is not going to see that. So we're seeing calls like that are being overturned, which is fair because they came off the bag,
Yeah.
but it's changing the way you see things. I think for any baseball umpires out here, one of my big things that I know I missed a ton when I was in the minors and below was calling a pulled foot off of first base. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I said I was like safe off the bag because he looked like safe off the bag. Now that I've been in the replay room for hundreds of games, I can say that more often than not, their foot is on that bag. It
Hmm.
just looks funny. And so now when I'm on the field, if I'm 99% sure that he pulled his foot, I call him out because I've learned that if I'm 99% sure that his foot's pulled, it's probably not. I have to be
100.
100% sure. So there's little tweaks like that I've learned in the replay room. But as far as the ABS challenge, that is not through the replay centers. That is through on site. They have their own text for that, so that doesn't involve us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for to me, with all the different replays and when things do get overturned or challenged, I initially heard that it was going to kind of rub umpires the wrong way, with them being challenged on all the calls that they're making and different things like that. But to me personally, the way that I would take it is I would not be mad at the person challenging me. I'd be more upset with myself for making that mistake and
Oh
trying to
yeah.
get better with that. Is that kind of the mindset that most people are having with it?
Yes. I am so happy it's there, because if it's not there, there's been so many times where I could be the face of SportsCenter that night because of a huge horrible missed call,
Yeah.
but I'm not, because it got challenged and it got overturned, and I'm like, whew, okay, thank God. But now, why did I miss that call? So
Yes.
I'm never, oh God, I'm never mad at the team for challenging. I'm never mad at the replay official for overturning it. No, I'm actually happy that they did, so that I'm not in the wrong now. So it's a great tool to have. And actually, because they get one challenge a game, and then they also get a crew chief challenge starting in the eighth. But if they lose their challenge in the first, which does happen,
Hmm.
you're kind of on an island. You're kind of like back to where it was prior to 2013, and now you're like, oh my gosh, if I absolutely miss a call here horribly, it's not going to get fixed.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where we are with this challenge thing now too, is where, if I get, so like during spring training, a team that I had, they ran out of their strikes and balls challenges in the top of the second. And so there was a little bit of a ego boost to me, because I'm like, yep, I'm right. Like, told you. But at the same time, now I'm like, oh my gosh, they can't challenge any more the rest of the game. So if I miss one right down the middle, uh-oh, you know what I mean? So it's a give and take, but it's more mad at yourself, never at anybody else.
Yeah, I was watching. I don't know what game it was where they did an ABS challenge for a ball that was called, and I'm trying to remember the exact scenario. I think he called it a strike, and it was actually a ball. So the batter challenged it, and it
Hmm.
ended up being a ball. So they switched it to the ball, and then
Yep.
the next pitch was a borderline pitch, and he rung it up for a strike, and he was correct. It was a strike, but the commentators are like, well, he was getting that strike call no matter where that ball was going to be placed because he was getting the player back for overturning his call. And
Yeah, I don't think that's accurate in the slightest.
yeah,
And I mean, I am speaking for myself here, but it is not a personal attack at all. I mean, in my last game, what did I do? I think I went 2 for 4 on challenges, and the two that I got overturned were in the same at bat to Mike Trout. And after he, in the second challenge that got overturned, it was a ball four. And I even said to Mike, as he was running to first, I go, "Hey, good job, Mike." And he gave me like a thumbs up. Like, it's like a joke in a way. Like, I'm not mad at him.
no,
I want him to challenge if I'm wrong, because that could have been, that now he strikes out and stuff like that. So I'm glad it's there, and it'll never be a personal thing.
yeah, and I mean, just the nature of the word challenge. It's a challenge for us to get it right the next time and to improve on what we're doing. So
Yeah.
if we're not being challenged, then we're probably getting worse at what we do.
Right.
So, and that's again just in life. You always want to take on and attack those challenges to get better at all the different things that we got going on in life. I want to be challenged as a father to be a better father to my kids and a better husband and different things like that. It's not
Yeah.
easy.
No, I
You
mean,
win some, you
that's
lose some.
right. And that's how I see it, is like, it's kind of fun. Like, it's like I mean, I'm not a video game guy, but that's how I see it as. It's almost like, okay, I'm going to try to beat the boss here. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
that's kind of how I see it. And to be honest with you, when a player does challenge, the mental load now is more of a, okay, how do I announce this? Because you have to announce it to the whole stadium. So I'm like, okay, so I got to do this. I got to tap, and you're trying to go through all the steps in place to make this happen. So to me, that's more of the stress, not the actual call or the play or anything like that, you
Yeah.
know?
You don't want to step on yourself as you're talking.
Yes, exactly.
So talk to me about your preparation for a game. You're flying into a city for a 3 game series or 4 game series, and game one you're going to be behind home plate, and then game two, however the rotation goes around with the different crew. how do you mentally prepare yourself for the games, for the different positions that you may be at, to each day by day and just kind of series by series?
So I used to have a very different, strict routine based off of plate, second, that kind of thing, flying in, not. But I quickly learned that that's for me, that was not a good idea
Okay.
because when I had that, if something went off the rails for just a small bit, maybe I'm sleeping because I just flew in and the maid knocks on the door, right? That would break up my routine that I have, and now I'm all flustered. So I quickly learned that every game is just another game, and you can't go into it with, oh, I have to have Chipotle for lunch today, or I have to go for a 3 mile walk. I think that's an unhealthy way to deal with it because, like I said, if anything goes haywire, then you're in trouble. So for me, every day is just another day. The only thing different that I do is if I'm behind the plate that day, when we get into the locker room, we always play cards and stretch all that stuff. I always step away from the crew for just 10 minutes and I just stretch in silence. That's the only thing that I do different because typically my heart rate is slightly higher than normal.
Hmm.
So that for me is a way to bring myself back down because I want to be perfect. I want to be the best. And so I can feel my heart rate's up. So by me stepping away, I can feel it come back down and then I'm ready to go. So I used to have these strict routines, but now I don't. And I think that's actually worked out for the best for me.
Yeah, I could definitely see what you're saying with the strict routines, because there's a lot of uncontrollables out there that you
Yeah.
want to be in control over. But like you said, a simple one is the maid, but a flat tire, traffic, different things like that.
Yeah.
There's some things that you can't handle. And if you're that strict with your routine, yeah, I could definitely see how you're going to be flustered.
Yep.
Um, what type of preparation do you do? Do you know like a pitcher's habits and different things like that, or different scenarios like that? Are there things that you talk about as a crew? I know we go over, and my head referee has the same speech before each game,
Hmm.
and it's kind of gotten to be a running joke between us. And he's like, "What did I forget?" And we'll throw a kick game, and like we all know it to a T that we're there to help them, but it's just those by verbalizing it, it's just those mental reminders for us in the game. Do you guys do stuff like that as a crew?
Well, so we travel as a crew for the whole year. So prior to our first game, we had to talk about how we're going to handle all the odd scenarios. But when you go through the rest of the games, we don't have those talks because we already know it. But as far as like prep, maybe I'll look to see who my pitcher is, and when I had them last, how did I do? What did I miss? That kind of thing. So, like if I have a pitcher that I saw, I was like, okay, last time I had him, I missed 5 pitches on the outside corner by balling them, and they were all sliders, sweepers, whatever. And I'm like, okay, so I need to be a little more aggressive with those. But as far as, I mean, besides that, there's not really too much prep, and I think the reason why is because you've done thousands of games,
Hmm.
and so it's not that you're not prepping; it's that I've already done all my prep. It's more about just fine tuning as I go along. But that doesn't mean I don't learn and grow every game. Like my last game, I I actually talked with my crew chief and I am changing the way I work around second base on a particular play. So like I'm always learning and growing in that aspect, but it's
Hmm.
more I change and grow as it comes at me during the game.
Okay.
Not so much in the prep work.
So you actually kind of led into my next question that I wanted to ask you. In football, I am an umpire. So
Hmm.
90% of the games that I work, I'm on the defensive backfield by the linebackers. So my mechanics are going to be the same game to game. I'm also a referee. So there's times I'm in the offensive backfield. I got to go and review my mechanics for that. For you guys in baseball, you have different mechanics each day because you're going from home plate to possibly third base, second base, first base. How does that work? And you mentioned before you're working on your second base, where you are for second base. You mentioned maybe I missed missed a step or I could have been a step closer and different things like that. How does it work with you guys with the mechanics of the game and are things changing for you in that aspect?
Yeah, as from a mechanic standpoint, the learning in that really comes at the lower levels. And then once you reach the major league field, you already have it.
Okay.
But like I said, there are plays where I'm like, dang, I wish I was one more step here. And that's one of those things, like I said, that you see in the moment. It's not as far as prep is concerned because on the bases it's either out or safe. But now we have some clock stuff, and you gotta, like restart the clock or point to the bullpen. They're just very basic things that at the very lower levels of baseball. Um, I think it's more of you make adjustments to certain types of plays and you know how to read it the next time it happens. Um, and that's so like if I'm at third and I have a steal third and I call him out and I get the call right, that doesn't mean that I didn't learn something from that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dang, I knew I should have been one more step down to see when that glove actually hit the ball, or excuse me, when the glove actually hit the body. So I think it's more that type of learning and growing throughout the game.
Gotcha. All right, so I got two more questions to ask you. The first one is about that sweater you got on there. You gotta
Oh,
bring that baby up.
Ref Masters.
Yeah, so I
Yep.
had Sony on a while back. I had Brandon on to tell us what you guys got going on with Ref Masters. I'd be remiss have you talk about that. That's actually Brandon and
Yeah.
I hooked up through the Ref Masters app. For those that aren't aware of the app, definitely take a look at it. So, what do you got going on with Ref Masters?
No, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on it.
Yeah.
I started with Ref Masters baseball a little over a year ago. Myself and other MLB umpire Malachi Moore, we post daily umpire rules, training, videos. We break stuff down. We open the door to, hey, how is this going to be officiated at the little league level in high school, college, pro, and so it caters to everybody. And then Malachi and I are also doing 2 live sessions a month, and we're breaking down videos. People are sending in their own clips, and they want us to give them feedback on it. So we have those things going on. We have Pro Lab where the umpires are able to do a one-on-one with me or Malachi. They can bring their own clips, their own games, and we can break them down one on one. We just have so much going on, and it's great. And it's the whole point of Ref Masters is to bridge the gap with all the officials into one central place. Because I know for me, I was so tired of pulling up to a parking lot and a partner would ask me, "Hey, we're going to work the 3 umpire system here today. What do you want to do on this?" And they'd have to dig through an email to find that PowerPoint.
Yep.
Or to get paid, you got to go to this website, or to blah blah. And you have all these links and pages and blah. And Ref Masters is bringing it all as one, and it's really kind of bridging the gap with the officials community. And additionally, like you see stuff on Facebook, right, where
Mm-hmm.
someone will post a play and there's a lot of negative comments out there, and it's really frustrating to read because I'm like, wait a minute, we're on the same team. And within Ref Masters, a play's posted and it's all positive. and
Yep.
and I think a lot of it is due to the fact that you have a lead official in each sport: NFL, NBA, MLB, MLS, FIFA. You have these lead officials talking about it, so it leads to a really positive um, experience, and it really opens the door for a lot of officials to see it through another lens. So I'm very proud to be a part of the team, and we are growing, and I'm really excited to see where it takes us.
Yeah, it's great stuff, and I haven't put as much time in lately, being in the off season myself, which is a very poor excuse with the app itself. I'm not lacking on doing my personal training and things like that, but I got to get back on there and start looking at some more case studies and some individual plays because I know Brendan puts out some great stuff for the
He does.
for the football side. But yeah, it is great stuff, and again, being able to interact with people like yourself, Malachi. I've spoken to James, and I've had Sony and Brendan on. So
Mhm.
it's been a good experience for me too, and I definitely recommend it to all the officials that are out there. And you want to know, I recommend it to other people too, because hey, if you're not
Yeah,
a ref or an official, you might be able to learn something to kind of stay off our backs.
exactly. No, and we actually have coaches and players on there that read Malachi's and my stuff, and they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, wow, I had no idea." Like we had a call the other day where the player caught the ball but pinned it against his body, and the call was safe. And a lot of people sent me a message, and they're like, "I had no idea that in order for it to be an out, the ball has to be in the glove or the hand, can't be pinned against the body." And I'm like, "Yep, that's why it's there." So it's a community for everybody, and then on top of that, it's free. So it's like, why
Even
why
better.
why not, right?
Yep. All right, so my last thing for you, a little rapid fire, and this is now coming from me as just a baseball fan now,
Let's
and
do
you
it.
that's had an ability to experience these things. Favorite stadium?
Favorite stadium, Chicago Cubs, Wrigley Field.
All right. Toughest environment?
Hmm. Uh, I know you said rapid fire. Um, so this is not very rapid of me. Toughest environment. You would expect me to say Yankee Stadium. I'm not going to say that. I'd say Miami.
Really?
Miami, because they don't draw a lot of fans very well. They have music going on the entire game from the outfield. It's just a it's I say that in terms of not tough to work, but tough to stay focused.
Okay. What's the best environment?
Best environment, God. I mean, Wrigley Field again. Fenway does is up there, and maybe number three would be San Diego.
Okay. What's an interaction that you had that you could share, a funny interaction that you've had with either a player or a coach, and you don't have to name any names, but
Sure.
maybe a funny interaction that you've had with somebody.
Hmm. Funny interaction. Um, hmm.
And I see a lot of things with Freddie Freeman out there of the character that he is on
Oh,
the
he's
base
great.
paths.
No, he's great. God, it's just, I'll go with the one that just recently happened during like spring training. Like I had a call that was overturned with this ABS challenge, and the catcher knew I was pissed, and just because I get back behind the plate, and I'm talking out loud with him about how mad I am about that I missed it. So the next pitch, he challenges the pitch. I called it a ball off the plate. He knew it was a ball off the plate. The catcher goes challenge. And I was like, what? So I take the challenge, and as I announce it, so you make the announcement, and then you look back towards the screen to see what the result is. As I'm doing that, I lock eyes with the catcher, kind of like, what are you doing? And he goes, that's for you, buddy. And I go,
Nice.
thanks. And then of course it shows it off the plate by like 2 inches or something. And then I come back and whatever. And then I get back behind the plate and I give him a tap. I'm like, thanks, man. you know?
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, Brennan. Well, I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to jump on here today. I think this was a great opportunity for my listeners to get an inside perspective on what you guys do in different sports. This was fantastic. Appreciate you
Yeah.
taking the time.
No, thank you so much for having me. I thought it was great. I will happily come back anytime.
Gotcha. All right, buddy. Well, you be good, and hopefully I get to catch one of your games in the local areas one of these
Absolutely.
days. Uh,
Absolutely.
all right, Brennan. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.